Hi guys, thank you very much for joining me. Paulina here, talking to you about June 2019. I am currently in Playa del Carmen in Mexico, so if you're here, perhaps it's time to get a live session with me. If you're in Mexico, would love to see you. So here we are. The main events during this month are the new moon in Gemini on the 3rd of June, Mercury in Cancer on the 4th of June. Then we've got Venus entering Gemini, so following the moon on the 8th of June and the sun. And then we have also the full moon in Sagittarius on the 17th of June. 21st of June is when Neptune goes retrograde, and we also have our sun entering Cancer here. And on the 26th of June, we've got Mercury entering Leo. If you'd like to know about any of these particular situations, any of these particular placings, please check out my Patreon. I'll be putting little videos about each of these transits on Patreon only. So I'm so sorry for being inconsistent with YouTube and Patreon. I just haven't yet quite got the hang of what I'm doing for each. So definitely what to look forward to on YouTube is you'll get the monthly collective insights, which I'm doing now. These are channeled insights, so these are not by the book, these are not by the charts, these are just through collective consciousness that I hook into for all of my work actually. And also you will be receiving a new moon video and a full moon video. So these are about half an hour long videos, and they're just about the collective global situation. But also, if you'd like to know how these moons, new moon, full moon, and also the month affect you as a star sign, have a look. I will be posting these insights for each of the star signs on Patreon. So if you're interested, please check out my Patreon. You really get a lot and it doesn't cost really that much. It's just like depending what you're comfortable with. It's a really nice site, and I'll be posting more and more on Patreon from now on. So okay, so mighty June. If you have errands, if you have endings that are non-consequential, strange beginnings, fuzzy stuff, like when you are out of sync with life, or when you're missing something or someone, if you have outstanding karma, if you have any kind of emotional baggage during this time, it'll show. And it won't just show, it'll show up big. So loose ends, any kind of insignificant things that perhaps usually don't really bother you too much, perhaps now will. So the stick in the wheels is really massive during this time. Just one missed phone call, just one missing component, one unpaid bill, one bad word, or one rude breakup can actually make you suffer here and make everything else that you wish for or you're waiting for take more time or take less time, it kind of depending on how you've played the last year and a half. So here we have what I call a self-created reality or self-mechanized reality, which we have kind of like put into swing quite a long time ago. And for a lot of us, the events, situations, and the karmic repay or the karmic bounce that we're having during this time is partially our own fault or our own creation, our own making. So what we're looking at during these particular months in the pig year, up until about July the 25th, for some, this is where we kind of need to understand that a lot of what we are having to deal with is part of a collage of self-representation and also our karmic deeds, good and bad, that have made these sequential situations and outcomes. And these are very, very important to understand as a whole. But the most impressive thing about this particular month of June, I believe, is the sequence. It's one of the most erratic, graceful, and scarily robust sequences I've seen. So it's like when you see a very interesting bounce between people, or you see a very, very unusual wave in which energy forms, you might see how things kind of bounce off each other and how certain events are very, very in place with one another. Some of us will think the same thing. So two people on opposite sides of the world might have the same idea. We have a very interesting synchronized mind and a global collective buzz, a unison like a hive of bees, which is fantastic during this particular month and some of the next. So I believe that June is going to really bring into the foreground the full sequencing of ourselves, what we give back, how we align, how we come together. What types of membranes are we forming between us, between the souls? These are collective, global, non-individual membranes that are knit like a cloth. We've come into this particular part of creation as a non-mind to some degree, and some of which we do, and some of which we care for, and some of which we are driven towards, we are not in control or conscious mind of. So here we have a very interesting sort of a platina. It's almost like a plate. It's like a joining of forces and a connective focus for all beings, in which everything kind of starts to synchronize and sync in with one another. And as I've been making the metaphor of skin for the pig year over and over, it's like we're creating layers. And these are the ones that are coming to the surface. Who you are with now, perhaps, is more in alignment to you than ever. What you're interested in or what you're curious about may be more in alignment to you than ever. Who you're driven towards is very purposeful. What you no longer feel even enters your mind is important. This is very impressive during this time. I believe this Gemini Mercury is really incredible for understanding things really fast, as is going to build up to a very, very nice climax in the new moon in Gemini on the 3rd of June. So we've got this interesting wave of non-pretentious ascension and unpretentious recognition of the vision or the visions or the people or the practices or just the culture that is coming through yourself as a yes and no response. Gemini is one of the most shallow signs, people think, but in actual fact it is not shallow, but rather it is true. It has this kind of like truthfulness of a child. It's a non-negotiable sign. So sometimes Gemini energy, it feels a spark or it feels a dull. And here's repetition of Aries in a very innocent sense where it's yay or nay. And there is nothing wrong with being obviously attracted to something or somebody and not being attracted at all to other things. And also prepare those things that are just not attractive to you or that are just not generative for you to actually not stay in your mind and no longer have that bounce in your head that has been created before. But those of us that are experiencing multi-mind, okay, and these couples or these people, these representatives that are so synced up and sunken into multi-minds, we're starting to vision each other as a recognition of ourselves grows inside. We truly reform our bonds with each one of our peers or each one of our connecting points that we may or may not be aware of through a huge collaborative buzz of the multi-mind. So I don't know how, but I'm able to connect now to many more minds than before. And also perhaps you might see that with your significant other, your best friend, even your dog, whoever you've chosen in your life, whatever you have chosen in your life, as a counterpart, a mirror or a fragment or a refragmenting agent. It might be very interesting how it kind of like shallows out all those, peaks and troughs that you've had before in order to communicate on the point of difference or differentiation between I and you. These are starting to lull and become much less unique. And it also feels to me that some people might also recognize that the uniqueness of their me, their ego, that I am, you are this, I am that. This starts to kind of shallow and bounce into a really nice formula. For some people, I see this ego repetition. So it raises up faster and it has these recognizable spikes, but as the spikes become more apparent, even to the person with that ego structure, this might become uninteresting. And then when ego becomes uninteresting, it sort of intensifies for a while, and as it chooses to see its own fate, it kind of starts to wane, because everything that sees itself eventually, in a sense, disappears. It's a quantum conundrum. So, it cannot ever really truly be seen. You can't truly fully crack you, because after you crack you, there's something else that's going to be in your place, in a sense. It's like you can't pinpoint an atom to a degree. So the thing here is that once you notice a pattern, when you know who you are based on your choice and your yay or nay responses, you start to differentiate from the previous wave of ascension that you've taken, which could have been in a nice, sturdy wave, could now actually be in a more erratic, more lucrative, more ecstatic wave, especially since we have Mercury going through Gemini till the 4th of June. So till the 4th of June, I really do suggest people really take advantage of this galloping, very vibrant and vivid, joyful time where we can switch up everything to a degree. And then, yes, of course, when you understand the momentum that you've chosen for yourself, and you now perhaps can recognize how you perhaps don't really want to live or don't really want to be, and as you're starting to understand, I'm locking myself in the box. I'm starting to understand that I'm putting myself in front of, but also behind people. I'm not actually useful on this level to me and my personal journey. I'm not getting enough. We've been sort of asked, especially people with Gemini aspects, to really ask for more. What is enough? What is your sugary, like sugar-coated version of love even? What is your pineapple picnic? Like what is your deepest, most emotive, strong, innocent, naive, curious, vibrant, living, vivid energy, the ageless and the eternal energy? Because the joy codes, some people call them joy codes, are recultivating in our society. So as we're becoming more streamlined, these waves are getting momentum more and more, and not just you or me are catching that lucky wave. We're all part of it, and we have to join on some level, on some eternal, intricate vibration, because otherwise we might not see how much more and how much faster we can ascend, and we can vibrate on a more joyful, on a more diamond encrusted, glitzy, glittery wave. And I know, like, not for many people this is interesting right now, because we've come out of this huge 7-year cycle where we're really purged, we really discussed things, we really fully wanted it all just to end or just to begin. And we had this huge kind of like remembrance journey for most of us, as we kind of went for our past and our future and our ancestral ties and bonds, and we looked to the future of our planet, all those things many, many, many times before, similar. But now we must recognize we can't just pick and prod. Piggy is not good for picking and prodding because it's too soft. It's like layers of skin. We have to recognize its lushness, its humor, its vulnerability, its naivety, its versatility, its creativity, and start riding these beautiful self-creating, self-adjusting waves that are created from the collective own. And the one other thing is, I would like to also accentuate the vision of fragments and fragmentation, as we are now in a very, very powerful place where we can see these people that have all the fragments that we don't. Or we can see that our fragments are too many. Fragmentation, scatter, inability to form, or having multi-ability out of scatter. So scattering objects, scattering personality traits, different types of people in different types of places. not having enough time maybe previously to really recognize the scattered sequences that you have, loose ends, unuttered words, and unfathomed endings, and also things that were not before perhaps noticed for what they are, now have to come together, scattered. I trust that if you are a neat and also at the same time vulnerable, uncompressed person, if you are neat and yet at the same time you are not protecting yourself, if you have a clarity about you, there's more advancement through scatter. For example, you have a very pure lifestyle and you hold a very pure, maybe repetitive tone in society, or you're socially sturdy and you're safe for people and for yourself. You know how to do your job. You're very perhaps connected to your flow. And then out of this interesting kind of backbone, and I've been talking about the spine and the backbone, and creating that sort of like one chronolinear definitive in your life to sort of keep it all together. It's like the spine of your life, the chronolinear suggestible, where everything slots into place. We're very strong Saturn during this time. Also, Mars is going into Cancer. Mars in Cancer is already in Cancer. It is not an easy time. It's not an easy task. So this chronolinear sort of like slate is very, very impressive for those people that do have a very nice secure base and that have a very nice kind of medium worked out between what they own and who they know and what they do. This is the perfect time to introduce scatter, color, events, synchronicities, curiosities, going out more and becoming more curious and more robust in that very living, very vivid lifetime. But if you can't afford to have more, if you've already scattered your time and your finances and your energy on too many tiny details, if you've already been repeating the same lessons with love and you're still repeating those lessons now, if you have not learned from your previous domestic situations and outcomes, if your finances are in a bunch, if your business sense is all over the place, those are the scattering fragments that you need to either solve yourself or ask someone else to help you with. And those people that do not have any qualms with either one of those things, they have both a sturdy background and a sturdy, suggestible tact and tone of their life. And then at the same time, they also have a very nice opening for more, for naivety, for freedom, for curiosity, for maybe more magic, more difference, more contrast, or just more joy. These are the people that are going to really go forward during this month. So unless you can sort of see yourself in terms of where you are playing and where you are open for scatter or open for business in a sense, or open for lessons or curiosity or communication, if you can't see what is plain and what is open, there's sometimes not much choice. Life will kind of like pick you up and place you there when it needs to be. If you are not feeling open, it's not easy. It's like during this time, okay, so this is a heartbreaking time, I think, for some people. If you don't open up, if you are closed, and if you don't feel open for the new, and if you don't quite yet recognize how beautiful this new syncopation of reality can really be, and this new way of quantum scatter can help you choose, or choose you for certain experiences, for certain wheels, for certain manifestation cycles. If you're not open for them, then there is a big chance that you have to come down to earth, figure out things on a very normal human plane. And then as you figure out the most basic of things, from your wardrobe to your car, to your bills, to how to, work out your phone plan, to how to exercise, how to eat right. Organizing these very simple, mundane things once or twice a week can automatically brush out the previous clutter and put you into the driver's seat, within which you probably won't even see how you are driving. Your unconscious, I believe, is going to plug in. It's kind of like Avatar the movie. They like plug in those kind of cords between each other and things. It's like that kind of feeling, the unconscious cords. Not in a bad way, because usually cords are a bad word, but like these unconscious webs, should I say, or these unconscious, unsaid dimensions or unexplained ways of creation are kicking in now. And then these people that are open, these people that are fresh, and those of us that can actually now realize how little our mind was, how small our thinking patterns were, or how cluttered our manifestation wheels have been, to resonate with what we are now receiving. Perhaps you now have to see, I've been asking for too little, or I've been asking for too much, or I haven't actually really had the chance to dream, so my dream is not really that great, or like I haven't really had the right time in my life to really sit down and think it through, or like I haven't usually had the chance to really admit my feelings, or to really admit that sense of loss or responsibility, or that sense of selfishness or sense of trauma. All of these unspoken clutters and these kind of almost universal baggage binds are going to start to evolve the minute you tell yourself what it was. So if you can now, before June begins, have a look. Uninvolved, unevolving, afraid, no choice. I have no choice. I'm glad. I have to do this, this, and this. Do you? Have you really got no other ideas? Are you not free enough to just walk on by elsewhere and accidentally be energetically chosen for something new or something more? We are kind of bounced back and forth between each other, and we could not perhaps see it before, but now we can. That through and through you were trying to manifest or manage something, and now it's kind of there. And Jupiter and Sagittarius usually gives us the keys to the dreams. Like, oh, you trying to pick this lock? Well, here it is. And that is where it was, but where you are now perhaps is much, much taller, much, much smarter, and much, much more mature and clear than to pick those old locks. Are you sweating away trying to pick an old lock? Are you still trying to fathom your head around cryptocurrency? Are you still trying to get back with your ex? Do you still feel like, it's either this option, or that's it? Are you still minimal in your feeling? Do you not feel how much vaster life really is? Can you not sense how much larger reality can open up for you? Are you kind of lost? Did you leave yourself somewhere? Are you punishing your previous selves in order to succeed? Are you now trying to gain that figure that you always wanted? Are you now trying to gain that respectability that you always wanted? Are you trying to catch up on your maturity? I know better now, this is it. Like, are you making yourself senselessly involved in curious things because you feel those are the components that we all miss? Are you practicing a certain type of craft or art that perhaps will not evolve you, but you believe and trust with all your heart that it will zen you out, or it'll make you something? If you are not in flow, if you are not feeling the full liquid, smooth, tasty, sweet flavor of the pig year yet, there has got to be a change And if you're really, really telling yourself off, and if you really can't look past a certain thing, you know, there needs to be a talking to. So for example, if you keep on telling yourself, go to the gym, go to the gym, go to the gym, but something happens, you know, you trip up, you're too late for the class, you get a call, you need to go somewhere else, you get invited elsewhere, all these opportunities and synchronicities happen. Stop telling yourself off. Make another time. Don't get obsessed. If you get obsessed with one little lock, you can unlock it, but during this time of celestial scatter and attunement and enjoyment in June, I trust and I believe, and I'd really like you to see that we've got much, 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 much higher grade quantum realities happening than trying to open some old lock, trying to fit some old jeans, trying out that relationship that didn't quite feel brilliant in the beginning. But there are some things that are going to work out. We didn't have those keys the last few months, they're coming now. We didn't have the answer the last few years, these are coming now. But these are the ones that you need, and please make sure that you don't stay home unless you are sad. Sad. Or that you don't stay alone practicing, doing, unless you know that this is the only way. There are such crazy ways in which we can meet one another, we can achieve so much more than ever before, and we can ascend and pull apart the previous timeline so far out, so intensely, that it will make our heads spin. So please, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're not constipated with irregular desires or designs. Make sure that you are not cluttered and clouded. Make sure that you don't have too many things to choose from and they're doing your head in. Make sure that the puzzle that you're choosing to solve during Gemini isn't just between like the items in your wardrobe or the items in your bathroom cupboard or the items, you know, in your medicine cupboard, like in your kitchen. Please make sure, please make sure that whatever you're picking the lock to is worth your lifetime. Okay. We're coming to a really awesome wave. Okay. We're coming to a really nice, neat start. And for many people, the cardinal sign of Cancer is going to really kick up a little storm and show us where we should have always probably been, or where we could have been for a long time. So if you are still trying to choose between 3 of your exes, if you're still trying to manage your carbohydrate intake, or if you're still trying to work out which pills to take for contraception, you know, start looking outside the square, and please use this incredible Gemini time to just bounce, unbarricade yourself, unblock you if you can. And the minute you do that, you will see results. I trust. The minute you clean out your cupboard, you get an answer. The minute you change your diet and just stick to it, you'll get a result. An echo is very prominent during this time. Time is thinning. It's like we get that answer and that bounce pretty quick. So I hope that you guys get that bounce and recognize where, who, and why, what you are. So thank you very much, you guys. I will be talking a little bit about these transits also in upcoming Patreon videos. Now I'm going to talk about every sign, and these are going to be on Patreon. So yes, if you'd like to know more about June for each sign, please take a look, and I hope that it'll help you with this month. Thanks a lot. All the details are in the caption below. Bye.